Welcome back F11 members to part 2 of the fundamentals of post-production video tutorials for issue 59, December 2016. So what I'd like to do here in part 2 is show you a couple of pictures and what I did to them to reinforce the message actually that often this game of post-production is stunningly simple. Often I do very little to a picture. But as always, it's not so much how you do things, it's why you do them that is important. So what I've got on the screen in front of me is this picture shot on the west coast of Ireland in October, County Mayo, just north of Connemara there, and a long lens picture with this island, the name of which I've forgotten, so I'll just go to my library module, and it's Clare Island, Clew Bay, County Mayo, Ireland. I'm quite pleased with this picture. I think it's got a lovely monochromatic feel, and if we go back into the develop module here and show you the before and after, on the left that's the image straight out of the camera, and on the right that's what I've done to it. It's got more contrast, it's got a bit more bottle, but essentially very little has changed to the image. So let's just work through this, what I've done to the image here. So if I go back to full screen, and now I'm going to reset the image, and that's the raw straight out of the camera. First thing I'm going to do in this particular instance is come down here again to the profile corrections, lens profile corrections here, and again click those on and off. And in this case what I'm doing is when I click that box it recognizes the lens I used and it's evening out the coverage. Can you see there that the edges of the image are a bit darker than the center? And when I apply my profile corrections, that corrects that. In this particular case, I think that is desirable. So I am going to enable my profile corrections here. Next thing I do, as usual, is look at my black and white points in relation to the histogram here. And if I hold down my Alt key here and move my white slider to the right, I can just make sure that the brightest tone in the picture is a white there, and do the same with the black, this time moving it to the left, spreading the histogram out to optimize the complete tonal range of the image. And now the next thing I want to do is give it a little bit of bit more density, so I'm going to use the tone curve there and pull that down to the right to darken the image there. And I'm looking really, what I'm pegging my darkness to really is this area in the middle of the frame there. I can tweak the sky subsequently should I want to, but I think that kind of tone curve to about there looks good to me. I'm going to come back up to my highlights and pull them back to the left to darken down some of the brightest tones in the image. And now I'm just going to use my shadow slider here to recover some of the shadows which have blocked in on the left of the image there. So just put a touch of shadow recovery in there, only up to about 24 there. And okay, now the next thing I want to do is look at the sky. It's a bit gutless, so I'm going to use the grad filter here, and I hold down the Alt key, the Shift key, and pull down my grad tool to where I want it to start and end. And of course I can drag those top and bottom lines about to suit. I'm going to put in a little bit of darkness on the sky there. In fact, let's make that a much softer grad there. Put in a bit of darkness and contrast as well. I need to be subtle here. Okay, and that's giving me, I can't go too far. If that sky looks too heavy, it'll be darker than the water and that just won't look natural at all. So I'm going to come back just a touch on that grad there to -34. Okay, click on done there. Now I'm going to do the same with the water. I just want to put a bit of contrast into that water there. So I'm going to use the grad tool to do that. So I hold down my shift key and first of all click on the grad tool, hold down my shift key and pull it up from the bottom there. And then just go to my contrast slider here and put a touch of contrast there in, and just the merest hint of density to hold the bottom of the image into the frame there. Only about -10, I reckon. Okay, good, that's done. And now looking at the image here, I want to just add a touch of vibrance and sharpen around about 15 there. Sharpen the image using my preset here, Sharpen Scenic. And now I'm just going to tweak the masking here. Hold down Alt, move masking to the right there. It always seems to be around about 10, quite frankly. And that's it. And really, how long did that take me? My timer is telling me 5 minutes or so. And really often that's all I need, or a lot less. So some images really are very simple to process. And to illustrate that, I'm just going to pause now and go to Exmore and do the same with a recent picture shot on our Exmore workshop. So here we are down in the valley in Horner Woods on Exmore. Beautiful autumn colour. I call this picture Exmore Gold for obvious reasons. What I've done here is I've used a polarizing filter and a 0.9 neutral density filter to enable me to give quite a long exposure. It was quite a dark day, and down there in the valley under the trees even darker, and the combination of those two filters and an aperture of f16 enabled me to give this 30-second exposure with a light breeze just causing the leaves that I was shooting through to give this wonderful blurriness to the image. So that blurriness is of course countered by the clarity of the tree trunk in the background, and I'm quite pleased with the picture. Post-production, possibly the easiest picture ever in the world to do editing on. If we look at the before and after, on the left, the image straight out the camera. The one on the right shows a bit more vibrance, a bit more density, but essentially not much difference. So let's now work through what I've done to the picture here. So if I go back to where I started with this image, and if I go to reset, that's it. And first thing I'm going to do is come down here, and as always, what do? I look at my black and my white points. Now in this particular instance, we have a histogram, unlike the scene shot that I processed in part 1, which was bunched way to the right. This image is using the full width of the full tonal range of the camera to record everything there in the frame. I have no real scope for either adjusting my black and white points without clipping shadows or highlights. In fact, what it's showing me here, up there, is I'm actually clipping some blacks somewhere in the frame. And if I hold down my Alt slider and move the black, you can just see, without making any adjustments at all, that just down here in these areas of the image there's the tiniest bit of clipping taking place. But I really have no worries about that at all. There's beauty in a pure black, as long as they don't dominate the frame. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything with my black and my white points. What am I going to do? I've got no highlights really that I need to recover. Everything is within the tonal capability of the camera to record. The only thing I'm going to do is use my tone curve here and just slide it down to the right to give me the kind of density I want. round about there. I'm actually, just before I do that, I'm going to take that back off again actually and just have a look at what my profile corrections would do here. And there I'm enabled them. It's recognized my lens, in this case the 24 to 70mm lens. It's given me even coverage. It still looks like a very bright image to me, but the histogram is fine. I'm now going to use my tone curve just to darken the image down to the point where I want it to be, and round about there, quite a bit darker really, and give a little bit of vibrance to the image. Just pull back my highlights a touch, and that's it. That really is it. Simple as that. Nothing more required. And so often that's the case. It would be wrong to think that every image requires all sorts of complex adjustments and editing and working in layers and masks. Many don't. In this case, I'll just add a touch. I'll add my sharpening to the image and the picture is done. Literally a minute, if that, of attention in post-production. It's all about the decisions you make. Okay, I hope that was of use. Always stick with that concept of, if in doubt, do nothing, or the less you do, the better. So, we'll see you back here in issue 60 of the Chasing the Light online magazine. Thank you.